Today we're here to look at foam rolling, and we have Michael Mercer, owner of Canton Barbell, helping us demonstrate. First, he's going to roll out the glutes, and he's just going up and down on his butt cheek. He's also rolling to the left and the right, so he gets more of the center part of the cheek and then the outer part of the cheek. Next, Michael is rolling out the deep rotators in his hip. You see that he has crossed his right leg onto his left, and now he's rolling deep inside that butt cheek, now using a different position in order to hit some different areas. So for those of you who can't get your leg up onto the other leg because of either it's sore or you're just not built that way, you can drop your leg and bend it underneath you like Michael is. It at least starts to get some of the rotation and some of the change in position in order to hit those same areas. Now Michael is rolling out his hamstrings. You see that he's positioned with his thigh on the roller. You see that he's positioned with his thigh on the roller, and he's rolling his kneecap outward and inward to make sure that he hits both parts of the hamstrings, stopping at his knee. He also made sure to go all the way up to that sit bone on the bottom of his butt cheek to make sure that he was doing that area as well. Michael is now demonstrating how he can get extra pressure onto the hamstring by suspending himself from an elevated surface. If you don't have a jump box like this at home, no problem. You can use either a wide stool or sit at the bottom of your stairs and then hold yourself up and do it there. Next, Michael is going to roll his calf. So same as with the hamstring, and that he's turning his kneecap inward and outward to hit all areas. Now he may not have enough pressure, so what he's going to do is he's going to take his other leg and then put it on top of his calf, and now still trying to keep the bottom leg relaxed, now he's rolling back and forth. Also, you might notice that Michael is dragging his butt on the ground, which is making his arms not have to work so hard so that he can spend more time on the roller. Now Michael is rolling out his TFL and his IT band. See how Michael is starting up at the hip, and he has his weight mostly on his left leg and his forearm and his hand. He's just going back and forth from the top of the hip down to about halfway at the outside of his thigh. This is really tender, so Michael is also making the point to exhale as he goes. This really helps him focus on something other than the tenderness. So once he's done doing that spot, he's just going to position the roller further down as he has already to then get the lower down parts. Notice how his leg is being drugged on the ground, so he's not flexing it up. Also notice how his leg is straight below him. Next, Michael is going to do in front of his thigh or his quads, and he's just going to roll right over from his IT band. Now you see that he's keeping his right leg relaxed, letting it drag on the ground, keeping the majority of his weight on his left leg and both forearms as he goes back and forth. Notice how he's rolling his kneecap inwards and outwards, making sure to hit all the different parts of the quad. The last lower body muscle that Michael is going to do is his groin muscles or adductors. Notice how he laid next to it and then brought his knee up towards his elbow. And now he's going to roll left and right all the way up into the groin. Next, Michael is going to do the mid-back muscles. You see him holding his head just to make sure that his neck doesn't get too tired. And then he's just rolling back and forth, going from just about his belly button up to about his neck. We don't like to go all the way into the low back because the low back is naturally curved the same direction as the roller, and that actually can get pretty tender. Lastly, Michael is going to roll his lats, or just the rib cage muscles, armpit muscles. So see him again going up and down, and he's using both his left leg to help himself roll and his left arm to help move the roller. This can get pretty tender, so you can hear him just pulling his butt back and forth on the ground because this can be so sore. So we don't want him to have to hold his weight up the entire time to avoid this getting too tender and then him having to stop. Here we see Michael with a lacrosse ball between his scapula and spine. He is going to roll up and down towards his head and his butt in order to find tender spots that are in that muscle group in the area. What he's going to do is he's going to identify those tender spots or knots and then maintain pressure on there until they release. Next, we see Michael rolling out his armpit muscles, mostly the subscapularis rotator cuff muscles. These are very tender. So make sure to do this on a surface that you can control the pressure. Michael would be doing it on a wall rather than a window if we were not demonstrating it. Notice how he is right in the armpit and on the underneath side of the scapula itself. Again, you're rolling around from deeper to outer, trying to find those tender points, applying pressure where it is more tender, and then holding those tender spots until you start to feel some relief. Finally, Michael is going to roll out his pecs. Here he is targeting the area that the pec connects to the arm itself, right in that corner. Of course, you could go closer towards the neck, following the line of the collarbone, or you could go down towards the sternum in the middle of your chest. Of course, be careful of soft tissues, especially for females, and you want to look for specific areas that are more tender. You should be able to find those areas, especially near the shoulder. And again, you want to be able to position yourself in a way that you can relax these muscles, allowing you to apply pressure that releases that tension.